Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Derek, and today I'm joined by Karen.
Hi.
And we're going to be discussing what's happening on GH this week. We're going to be discussing episodes that aired from Monday to Thursday, May 5th to May 8th, because we have a special surprise for you all later. So we'll get time to roll the credits, and we'll get right into it. Okay. So overall, this week was just very frustrating.
Oh my God, I know.
But we'll talk about it. But yeah, just wanted to get that out there. It was a little frustrating, but okay. So we'll start with Carly, Nina, and Willow. It turns out Willow did not overhear Carly and Nina talking about the drugging, so she doesn't know about Nina's involvement, which is kind of where I thought they were going, but that's not where they were going.
I think that would have been more interesting.
Yeah, I did too. So Carly covers and says she's just there to check on Wiley and Amelia after the whole scandal. Willow warns her that she needs to ask permission to see the kids. Willow insists that Drew was drugged and never slept with Jacinda. Willow asks Nina if she's an idiot for trusting Drew. Yes, Willow, you are an idiot.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure he did sleep with Jacinda. He just doesn't know he did.
Doesn't remember, yeah. Nina tries so hard once again to get Willow to believe that Drew is not the person she thinks he is. Willow is sure the prostitute drugged Drew and that he is being set up. Okay, so we'll shift to Dante and Lulu. Dante and Lulu were having an argument, and Dante admitted that he's still in love with Lulu, which shocked us. We were very surprised by this.
Did not expect that to happen.
No. So Lulu is shocked. Dante admits that he is also still in love with Sam. Lulu doesn't understand why Dante would admit to this now. Dante feels that Lulu is taking her frustrations out on Brooklyn. This is what my favorite part was when Carly walks in and sees the commotion and asks Lulu if she told Dante about Brooklyn's baby, and Carly yells at her and says, "Don't you dare, Lulu." Lulu says she doesn't, but she plans to.
Every character on the show is like, "This is a bad idea. Please stop." And Lulu's like, "No, I have to do this."
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Please don't, though."
Carly tells her it's not her place to tell Dante, and she's going to regret it for the rest of her life if she does. And she says that Brooklyn made a choice, and it's not her secret to blow.
Also, Lulu threw into Carly's face the whole thing where they tried to pass off Michael as Jason's baby. Mm-hmm. Fair. But at the same time, like, Carly knows she was a bad parent at that point in her life. There's no reason to rehash this.
Right. And Carly also says Robin blew up her life. And I guess she still hasn't forgiven Robin for that.
Because Robin blew up her life. And you're never going to turn around and be like, because look at everything that happened because of that. Mm-hmm. No offense to Robin. Like, Robin thought she was doing the right thing. Although, again, you know, I kind of was a little more on Robin's side, mostly because I love AJ, and they were hiding his son from him. This is not a situation where AJ didn't think the baby was his. He did. Him and Tony, all three of them thought the baby could have been theirs because she had slept with all three men. Mm-hmm. So, this was not a situation of, you know, she was pregnant and didn't tell the father and then they got rid of the baby. She was raising that baby in town and trying to pass it off as the father's brother's baby. It was like a messy scenario. And Robin was wrong too. Like, she shouldn't have really gotten into that because it did lead to, it led to AJ's death. Like, obviously it's not her fault, but the series of events led to so many bad things that happened to AJ, and then eventually AJ died.
Yes. But I loved when Lulu says, "I care about Dante the way you care about Jason. So if Jason had a child, wouldn't you want him to know?" And Carly says, "You got me there." I thought those scenes between Laura Wright and Alexa Havens were really good. Like, they did a good job in those scenes.
I think it's really funny how they've backfilled this relationship that never existed before into this really interesting and cool cousin dynamic. I like it. I like it a lot.
Too. Yeah, I thought
although it's out of nowhere, but sure.
Yeah, you know, we'll take it, I guess.
Carly's evolved a little bit, so we're gonna give it to her that she can now be friends with her cousins.
Yes. All right, so we'll talk about the bonfire. Emma freaks out, realizing that the thumb drive is missing that she has no backups of, apparently.
Stupid and not realistic at all.
It doesn't make any sense. Make it make sense, please.
It's a modern world. She would have backed it to the cloud. I don't understand. She would have 14 copies of it, and no one would wait to deliver it. It was done. She would have delivered it, and then she would have gone to the bonfire party. You don't take the break for a party and then deliver it. That was insane.
When I was in college over 20 years ago, we backed up backup discs. We had 2 or 3 backup discs.
And not only that, who would put a thumb drive in the pocket of their booty shorts and then go to the beach? Yeah. That was there was no way that could end well.
Right.
It makes me almost not feel bad for Emma, although I still do, but I almost feel like, come on, these are the consequences of your own actions.
True.
Because her losing it in the sand is 95% of what would have happened either way.
So Danny comes across Rocco passed out on the beach. And is this the first time we've seen a beach in Port Charles? Because I don't recall ever seeing
I think it's a shore. It's a shore. Remember, there's a river.
Right, I knew that. Yeah.
So this is their beachfront is basically the shore of the river.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, Rocco wakes up and admits that he played a drinking game on the beach. Danny finds Gio and begs him to help Rocco. Gio and Danny drag Rocco to the boathouse. Cody walks in and notices that Rocco's breathing is shallow and says they need to come to the hospital right away. Rocco goes to GH and he gets his stomach pumped. Cody calls Dante while he's with Lois. Lois just had a confrontation with Tracy, which we'll get into in a couple seconds. Dante and Lois arrive at GH, and Dante demands to know from Gio what happened. So earlier at the Q mansion, Tracy asked Lois where her great-grandson is. Tracy wants to know if Lois was really calling the shots in this decision to give the baby up for adoption. Lois insisted that the decision was Brooklyn's. Tracy is sure Lois convinced her to keep the truth hidden so she could keep the baby away from the Quartermaines. Lois says that's an added bonus. But that was not her motivation. That was an epic scene, by the way. Great acting by both of them.
This is such a weird storyline because I remember the relationship between the Qs and Lois from before.
Yeah.
And they've always been contentious, but she has no reason to keep a child away from the Quartermaines. She was very close with Lila and Edward. She was close with Monica. She was close with Alan. The overall Quartermaine vibe, sure, everybody always thinks it's better not to raise your child as a Quartermaine. I don't know why. They're rich. They're just annoying. They're like most families. So, this doesn't make sense to me. Tracy's the only Quartermaine that Lois has really had an issue with.
Yeah.
Other than Ned.
Lois says that Brooklyn was not ready to be a mother, and Tracy says, I cannot wait for the day that I rid this house of you, and I have a feeling the day is fast approaching. So she could be right about that.
I see what Tracy was saying in that situation. She was like, we're a rich family. Mm-hmm. She could have just handed Ned the baby and gone back to being a kid. She didn't have to be a mother. The family would have raised the child. There was no reason to give the child up for adoption. But Lois was doing what Brooklyn wanted. But here's the thing. No one ever proposed that to Brooklyn. Yeah. There was no scenario where they were like, okay, well, you can keep the baby and Ned, the Quartermaines will raise the baby or will raise the baby, and you can be a sister to your son or child. That was never presented to her. She was given the options of abortion or not abortion and give it away.
Yeah.
So it does feel like they didn't think, because obviously she's a child, but they didn't think to give her more than the obvious options. And then they did exactly that because they took Gio and gave Gio to a family member. So they did the same thing that Tracy's suggesting, and Lois is acting like Tracy's out of pocket for suggesting it.
Right. Okay, Drew starts to remember things about the night that he was drugged. He remembers seeing Tracy's face. Deanna encourages him to check his phone and GPS to retrace his steps.
Smart Deanna.
Yeah, Deanna's very smart. He remembers he was at the hospital first with Portia.
Do you wonder though, like after she said that, like, did you wonder if Deanna was a true crime girly? Because she had that answer locked and loaded. She was like, what if you just checked her GPS? Or is Deanna the kind of person who loses her keys all the time and she needs to check her GPS to find her phone and keys?
That sounds about right.
I just wonder if like she's somebody who watches like a bunch of crime podcasts and that's why she has the GPS on her phone. Or her friends all have like Where Am I Live or some crap and they're all tracking each other. I don't know. It was just funny how quickly she was like, why don't you just use the GPS on your phone?
Yeah.
She should have just called him old man. Right. Old person, use your technology.
Yeah. So Brad then storms into Portia's office and asks for a promotion. He knows what Portia did and she was responsible for what happened to Drew. Portia makes it clear that anyone accuses her of this, she'll make sure people know it was Brad. Brad then sees Marco and Lucas together at the vending machine in a close embrace. He recalls seeing Marco leave Lucas's room in Miami, and he becomes very upset. Brad then decides to offer to sell Drew the name of the person who drugged him. So we'll get back to that in a minute. Gio tells Dante he wasn't with Rocco at the party. He didn't even know Rocco was there until he was already passed out. Dante asks him why Gio didn't call his parents, but Gio didn't want to get him in trouble, which is a normal reaction a 20-year-old would have.
It's also what Rocco wanted.
Right, exactly.
And they would more likely go with what their friend wants than the smart option.
Dante lays into Gio, and it was unfairly so wrong and so unfair, and I can't believe Dante was acting like this. He's come a long way, but we're reverting back to old Dante now.
This has been 3 days of me hating the crap out of Dante. Like, I everything that's come out of his mouth, I know is generated by his fear and worry about Rocco, but he's been absolutely horrific.
Yes.
He was rude to Cody, who saved his son's life. He was horrible to Gio. And like eventually he gets around to Jason and blames Danny for everything, saying that Danny's kind of garbage as a person and that's Jason's fault for being a bad father.
And that thing is Dante loved Danny like a son. So this is quite a turnaround. And
it also doesn't make sense because remember, this was what Sam was saying. I don't want Jason involved because this, that, and the other thing. And Dante was advocating for Jason and he was literally saying Jason needed the chance to be a good father, was a good father. And then they had that whole heart to heart where they decided to raise the boys together. And all of this is gone now. Just so we can have Dante yell at people for 3 days because he's scared.
Right, exactly. So Dante blames Gio for everything, even though it's not his fault. Lois jumps in to defend Gio.
Somebody had to. It was horrible.
I know that Dante, like we were talking about, I know Dante's scared, but he almost lost his son, and Gio did his best, and he has no right to lash out like this at Gio. It's totally unfair, like we talked about. The doctor interrupts and tells Dante and Lulu that they can go see Rocco. Rocco apologizes to his parents. And one scene I really like is when Cody sits down with him after Lulu asks Cody to sit with him, and he says, Dante did stupid things too, and he was your
By the way, your father was also an idiot. I just need you to know that so you feel better. Don't feel bad. Your father was so dumb.
Yeah.
Your father got a girl pregnant at 16.
Right.
Because he clearly didn't know how to wear condoms and be safe.
Right. And Sonny even reminds him of that later. And I'm like, oh, Dante, get this through your head. Like,
every time Sonny has to be the voice of reason, I die a little inside. But he was right.
Very troubling. Sonny was the voice of reason.
Well, he was just so confused because first off, he just got out of surgery and he just flew home. And then him and Jason are just talking about the issues they really need to deal with, actual important issues. Dante comes tearing into the room and goes, your son almost killed my son. And it's just like, they didn't have a duel where they took 10 paces away from each other and shot at each other. They went to a party because they're teenagers.
Yeah.
Teenagers sneak into college parties. That is like a thing that happens, pretty much has been happening since the dawn of time. This is stupid.
I know I was in college and I was drinking underage, so.
Yeah. I wasn't much of a drinker, but when I was older and at parties, there were kids that were underage there.
Yeah.
And you were like, how old are you? Oh. They were always like 16, 17-year-old kids sneaking in.
Yeah. All right, so Carly overhears Gio talking to Danny on the phone. He tells Danny that Rocco's in the hospital. Danny blames himself, and Carly asks Gio if she can talk to Danny. She tells Danny to stay where he is. She's on her way to the boathouse. So this is where Lois steps in to defend Gio. Dante continues to lay into him, and it was completely wrong, completely unfair. He also says he's going to make sure Gio is charged for this, which was like unbelievable.
How? Oh, because he's like, well, you gave him alcohol, and he's like, I didn't give him alcohol. He's like, well, how did he get it? Like at the party,
right? It's not like
the party that Gio was age appropriate for, and was at with his also age appropriate friend.
Yeah. So Lois tells him to stop, and he doesn't know who Gio really is. With Lula coming around the corner just in time to hear this, so. We're definitely getting close to this revelation coming out that we don't care about, that we've known for months.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But also, like, Dante took a lot of low blows at Gio, and also started saying things about how they all coddled him and they always let him get his own way. This kid is so respectful and so peaceful and so quiet, and he is so disciplined that he plays a very difficult instrument. And then we're going to turn around and say, oh, he sucks. He never did anything good his entire life. And look, he tried to kill my son, and you're all pampering him. And I know they're only doing it because of the reveal that's coming. Right. They love to do this to make it more awkward when he does find out it's his son. But it's so it's stupid. I'm sorry. I didn't like it.
I didn't like it either. It was horrible. What did I want to say about this? Maybe it'll come to me later. But it was
I know. I'm sorry. I'm just like, rant.
No, please rant.
I hated it. I was so irritated. Continuing today, still irritated. I even went like, I just couldn't believe, like, Sonny was just like, what is happening right now? And he's just like, imagine you're their age. Are you going to know the signs of alcohol poisoning? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Come on.
Maybe he thought he just needed to get him home so he could sleep it off. Well, he was going to die of alcohol poisoning. And he's like, think back to when you were their age. Would you know the symptoms of alcohol poisoning? And the answer to that is no, he would not.
Exactly. Okay, so Carly comes to the boathouse and tells Danny that Rocco is going to be all right. I really like this scene. Carly urged Danny to tell the truth and take responsibility for his actions. I kind of liked Carly playing surrogate mom to Danny. And she said that Danny has both of his parents in him, and it was really sweet.
She's a pretty good mom.
She is.
Outside of the fact that she keeps marrying dangerous men that get her children into. But, I think a lot of it is that, like, Carly makes so many mistakes that she's not going to come in and be like, you need to be perfect. Although sometimes she has that conversation with Joss and it becomes hilarious because Joss is like, you weren't perfect. And she's like, I know, I hope for you better. And it's just, I think with Danny, it's a lot better to have the conversation comes from a flawed person than a perfect person. Because she's just like, yeah, I get it. We do dumb stuff and you're going to do more dumb stuff, but just own up to it and, tell the truth.
Oh, I remember what I want to say. I thought the young man that plays Gio, Giovanni Manza, did a fantastic job in those scenes. Yes. And I think he's really come into his own in this role now.
Sometimes it takes a while for a character to find their footing, for an actor to find their footing. I like Gio now. In the beginning, I didn't understand why he was there and what he was doing.
Yeah.
I felt the same way about Dex. By the time Dex was murdered, I was very sad. I doubt I will ever feel that way about Vaughn.
I'll be surprised if you did. Very surprised. Okay, so Drew offers Brad $500,000 for the name of the person who drugged him, and he happily gives Portia up. Brad tells him that Portia asked for all his medical records, even going back to when he was Jake Doe, and then asks him to get her ketamine for her. Drew then offers Brad a cool $1 million if he does one more thing for him, but we don't know what that is. Kai is recovering fine so far from his surgery. He can wiggle his toes, and he can even walk a few steps, so he isn't paralyzed, and Trina is relieved.
Do you know anything about medical procedures? Because it seemed weird to have back surgery and then immediately stand up. Is that standard?
Not that I know of. I don't think that's standard.
I don't know. If you know, please comment below and tell me, like, is it? I mean, I would think he would need to be off of his back for a while to heal, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure.
I'm not a medical doctor. I am just watching decades of ER right now.
Well, I'm sure ER has the answer. It was on for a long time.
Forever. I'm also watching a hospital show that very rarely shows the hospital.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Rick tells Ava that he told Alexis that he is in on the blackmail scheme. Ava's kind of mad at first, but then she's okay with it because Rick tells her he set up a small shell company to hide their money. He assures her that the company is for both of them, and then they can use the company credit card for their purchases.
And she's just excited to have a credit card again.
Yes, she is excited to have this credit card again.
I love Ava and Rick.
All right, so Laura meets Cody for the first time in Rocco's hospital room, and I didn't realize they never met.
They really haven't, which is funny because of how tight she is with the Scorpios. So It was cool, and she was very happy to meet Max Kidd.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Laura then sits with Rocco. Dante and Lulu come back, and Laura and Lulu go into the hall. And Dante sits with Rocco, and Rocco tells him how sorry he is for what he's done. But he can't get mad at Rocco. He can only get mad at everyone else around, but not Rocco.
I think he thinks Rocco's 8 years old.
Yeah, he must.
Because at any point, he could have said to Danny, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go.
I know if I was in the hospital and I poisoned myself with alcohol at his age, my parents would be living with me. Like
I would be grounded until I died.
Right.
That's just how it would be. They don't even ask him for the full story because he screamed and screamed at Gio. He could have very easily asked Rocco what happened. And Rocco would have said, me and Danny went to the party because we wanted to hang out and I got awkward and started drinking. That's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got into a drinking game and he didn't want to admit he was young. So he started doing shots when they offered him shots because he's a young man being peer pressured.
So outside the hospital room, Lulu makes a voice memo on her phone to find out where Lois was when Gia was born. So she is figuring.
And she does it like she's a spy in a spy movie.
I know she did. It was
so
really
funny.
It was funny. So
make a note. Find out about the information. I was like, what are you doing, Lulu? Come on.
Yeah. So Brooklyn and Chase are at the Ground Dog talking about their adoption plans. Brooklyn confides in Chase that she told Tracy about the baby, but not the fact that Dante was the father. Chase confesses he went to confront Lulu, but Dante was there and he didn't have a chance to. Cody comes by and lets them know about Rocco and what happened, and then Lois later shows up and tells them what happened between Gio and Dante.
Yeah, they're out drinking at the Brown Dog.
Yeah, Brooklyn doesn't understand why this upsets Lois so much.
What do you mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Lois protects every member of the Bensonhurst group.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't she be furious that Dante was a complete ass to Gio? A person she brought into this family and she sponsored into the Quartermain home.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make any sense. That was like one of those throwaway lines to be like, let's throw like suspicion on this idea that Gio is their kid. Like, it was weird writing for me.
Yeah. It was it was very weird writing. I agree. So also Cody notices that Rick and Ava are there as well, and Cody notices. He gets the wrong card. He gets the Dolos card that from the shelf.
It's a black card.
Yeah, and the bartender tells him that has an incredibly high limit, so he's wondering what's up with that. So that could be something relevant later. So I'm sorry, we have to get into Vaughn for a second.
This week, Vaughn says the exact same lines he says every week, and then he adds 2 more lines, and then he repeats the same lines he says every week until I want to punch him.
Okay. Vaughn tells Brennan that Professor Dalton was with Anna at the Savoy. He also informs him that Emma is Jocelyn's biggest competition for the research assistant position. Vaughn suggests that Dinah was putting in a good word for Emma. He also tells Brennan that Joss saw Dalton go into the lab with a briefcase, but we still don't know what that's all about. Okay, meanwhile, Emma confides to Joss that she's on a mission. She learned that Dalton was engaged in unethical and illegal practices at Berkeley. He was testing on dogs, monkeys, and cats. And Brennan's lab was the one she broke into, and the one she got caught in, thrown out of Berkeley for, and then she signed the NDA. She followed him to PCU to stop him, and might be working for the DVX. We don't know yet.
No, it sounds more like she should be working for the WSB because she's been on this lead a lot longer than they have been. Also, this all happens because Jocelyn found her USB drive that she lost. Even though we know it's corrupted, she doesn't yet. So they bond, and they're both like, "We're better people now." And I was like, "Oh no, this friendship is doomed."
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So Joss comes into Brennan's office after getting called away from Emma. Joss informs him that Emma knows a lot more than she thought she did. So I don't remember exactly what she said. She just tells Brennan all about what Emma told her.
Everything they talked about. So she just says that Emma is also investigating.
Yeah.
And that's why she was so intent on getting the position that Jocelyn needs to get.
Right. So, okay, so we'll talk about Christina now. So Christina tells Lucky all about
From Vaughn to Christina?
Yeah, our favorite people. My favorite, your favorite person to mine.
Yeah, you love Christina. She's your fave.
Mm-hmm. Love her. Christina tells Lucky all about how her mother was planning to have her committed. Lucky says he doesn't think this is such a bad idea, and I laughed when he said that. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was.
And it's funny how Christina was going on and on about this, and Lucky's just looking at her like, really?
He tried to murder a bunch of people, dude.
Yeah. Lucky assures Christina she is in therapy and getting all the help that she needs, and then this solves everything.
Oh, yes. Therapy and enabling. Great.
Lucky says she should let this go. So Diane pays Alexis a visit, and she tells her that her and Molly's papers got mixed up, and that's how Molly got a hold of Christina's commitment papers. And she apologizes when she figures this out, and Alexis doesn't tell Diane about the fact that Ava is blackmailing her. Ava and Rick are blackmailing her. She isn't hopeful that Molly and Christina are ever going to speak to her again.
They'll get over it.
Yeah, exactly. They'll get over it. After Diane leaves, Rick and Ava arrive. Rick wants to show Ava the shell company he set up, so it looks like Alexis is investing with Ace's money. Rick also wants a second payment for himself. Christina walks in and demands to know what's going on.
Talking about Christina got you coughing.
Yep. Yeah, she upsets me that much. Okay. Rick and Ava claim that an apartment opened up in Ava's building and they were going to talk to Molly about it. Christina's like, at this hour?
You could have just texted.
Yeah.
Phone call. And they're like, yeah, we could have, except we didn't.
Right. Christina tells them she's done with the fighting and she's going to let everything go and make peace. Ava says, it looks like your uncle's accident has turned into an unexpected gift, one that keeps on giving. And I really like that line.
These guys are going to crash so hard. They are flying too high. It's hilarious, and I love it, and I would love for them to get away with it, but it's never going to happen.
Yeah. Molly comes in. She comes home, and Alexis wants to make peace with them and put it behind them. Christina surprisingly agrees.
She also says that Scout's there, and they all need to keep it together for Scout. And surprisingly, they do.
Yeah. All right. So we'll get into Thursday now. Portia is on the phone with Nina. Drew's holding a press conference. Drew says he was giving ketamine maliciously. And then Tracy comes in and says to Nina, you're not actually watching that jackass, are you? That was hilarious. Love Tracy. So Curtis and Jordan then come into Metro Court, and Curtis says he doesn't think Drew's reputation will bounce back so quickly. Curtis joins Nina, and she orders a drink. Willow is right by Drew's side because that's going to look great in your custody battle, Willow.
She's stupid. I don't know what to tell you. She's brainwashed. I don't know I don't understand her. I kind of agree when they say that like she lost everything, so now she's sticking with him because she feels like she has to, sort of a sunk cost fallacy. But the humiliation of it, I wouldn't even do it. Even if he was innocent, I'd probably like, this relationship is doomed. I'm gonna cut bait. Get out of here.
Right. So we have let's see, it was Tracy, Sidwell, Jordan, and Marco all meeting together.
Weird table.
Very weird table. So they're plotting to take down Sonny. They want to get the message out to the voters. Drew joins them after his press conference and insists that the person of interest is going to be brought to justice. And it was creepy when he says he's going to the woman he loves is going to stand by him, and he holds a picture of up in Willow's phone and right to Tracy, and that was so creepy and weird.
I don't know what to say about Drew. Like when they were like, we need something to save us, and he sits down and he's basically like, hi, I'm here. I'm your savior. And like they all, if they could have, would have just left the table. Yeah. They don't really want to deal with him. And he's so cocky and weird. And I don't know where this storyline is going. I don't know what's going on.
Right. So Curtis,
I think he's having fun though.
Yeah.
I like that he's having fun.
So Curtis joins Nina at the bar, and she's upset that Willow is by Drew's side, like we talked about earlier. Nina says that Willow is still blind to Drew. Curtis notes, though, that he never knew he and Drew used to be friends, and he has never known him to do drugs. So Tracy informs Marco after Jordan and Sidwell end up leaving that he will give his father the key to Fort Charles if they rid the community of Sonny. So.
Marco said something really cool. He was like, your marketing strategy for getting rid of Sonny sucks. Yeah. And we need to revamp it, and we need to, like, because it's nothing. Like, it's a whole lot of nothing, and it's not doing anything. Right. And really, that Sonny comes off as a hero to the people, which is insane, but I get it, because he donates to the hospital, he donates to churches, he does the food banks and all. He's still murdering people. You don't, get to discount it. So the elites, like the rich people of Port Charles, know he's a scumbag because he can't bribe them with his garbage. Yeah. So Marco is like, the regular man thinks Sonny's awesome. So we got to fix that. And Drew thinks he's the answer to that. But Marco's really smart. When he said that, I was like, he's right. They don't really have a leg to stand on currently. Because as far as everyone in town who isn't in the know is concerned, Sonny is a legitimate businessman. Yeah. Or even if they know he's a mobster, sure, he's a mobster, but he pays all my bills from the hospital, and I can get food from the food bank because of him. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's still going to murder people, but, it's okay.
All right, so we talked about this a little bit earlier. Isaiah assures Sonny and Jason that Sonny is doing well and has no complications. Dante arrives and tells Jason about what happened at the bonfire. Dante needs to calm down. He says, your son almost got Rocco killed last night. Rocco, or Dante, take it easy. Like, relax.
Should give him a couple tranquilizers, put him to bed.
Yes.
Give him a teddy bear, let him wake up tomorrow and have a rational conversation with at least one person.
And it seems like we talked about earlier, Sonny is getting through to him. Dante, we know Dante's scared. We know he's lashing out because he's scared. I know, we know that.
I think the reason
being an absolute asshole.
But I think the reason that Sonny gets through to him though is because Sonny, there's two things that happen. Number one, Jason doesn't react to Dante's anger; he just leaves. Exactly. Also, Sonny doesn't react to Dante's anger. Most people who've been engaging with Dante have been responding to his unwarranted anger at them, so they've been defensive and loud. Sonny just casually breaks down Dante's entire argument and is just basically like, you're scared and you're yelling at everyone and you need to think about it.
Yeah.
And then he points out the facts in the case. And as he's doing that, he's kind of taking the steam out of Dante's sails. So he starts calming down finally. And you're just like, 3 days of this, dude. We should have just sent you straight to Sonny.
Yeah.
Because it's not exciting to watch somebody berate a kid and then berate a young man, and then berate the young man's grandmother. And like, it's horrible.
Yeah. All right. So Jason meets up with Danny, and he tells his son that, he needs to check in with him now at 9 p.m. every night. I love that he talked about AJ's drinking and how it affected their lives. And Danny understands that what he did was wrong and that he needs to be more careful. So that's when Dante comes in and Danny apologizes to him, and Danny's like, yeah, or Dante's like, yeah, I know you're sorry. But Dante's still a jerk to Jason after that. And it's just like, when does this end, Dante? Even after he had that talk with Sonny. And I felt like Sonny got through to him, and then he's still being a jerk.
Yeah. Well, I think this sucks for Danny. Mm-hmm. Like, Danny's taking 100% of the blame, as if Rocco were a puppy he took to the party and then didn't take care of. Yeah. Like, Rocco's like a young guy, but he's not stupid. Mm-hmm. And he's not incompetent. Like, he's not like he didn't need a minder. Danny went to play volleyball. He was 5 feet away. And in the 10 minutes he was gone, Rocco drank enough to kill himself.
Exactly.
How can we blame Danny for all of that? Like, yeah, Danny's responsible because he convinced him to go to the party because he thought they should have fun like normal teenagers and do normal teenage shenanigans. Mm-hmm. But like, why is Rocco so blameless in all of this? And yet Danny's the evil one and Jason's the evil one and everyone else is the evil one.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I liked Sasha when Sasha talked to Danny. I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, I did too. I like that a lot.
Okay. They're bonding. Mm-hmm. I like that Sasha and Danny are bonding.
Yeah. And I like when she said, if you didn't feel bad, you would be a jerk.
Yeah. But she gave him like scenarios. She's like, you could own up to it, mm-hmm. learn from it, grow from it, or you could say you didn't really do anything wrong. It happened and pretend it never happened again and move on with your life. And which one do you want to do? And he's like, well, I want to own up to it. And she's like, good. That's what you should say. But she didn't like morale. Like a lot of people get like morality play. I don't know how to say it, but like mm-hmm. they start lecturing and then the kid doesn't hear anything you're saying because it's just blah, blah, blah. But she had like kind of a nice interactive conversation with him. And he was like, you're going to be a good mom.
Yeah. Okay. So Brad arrives at GH all in a really nice suit.
Yep. He looks adorable.
Yeah, he resigns with Portia, tells him that he's done. He's not coming back, and the blackmail is over.
Mm-hmm. Is it?
Yeah.
She's like, the blackmail is over. He's like, I think you're going to find that the blackmail is not over. Goodbye. Good luck.
Right. Good luck. Drew gives him his money. We still don't know what Brad had to do for Drew to get that extra $500,000. So I really want to know. Maybe we'll find out next week. I don't know.
I'm just worried that this is it for Brad for a while, and I hate that because he's so much fun, and I love him, so I don't want him to go off the canvas. Parry Shannon is always so much fun. He's very entertaining. Well, he's a good actor.
He got a nice payoff, so he's going to probably a tropical location.
For 5 minutes until he gets into trouble again.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the best scenario would be that if he went off on this tropical vacation and Britt turned out to be alive and he ran into her and then they had an adventure. I think that would be great. Get on that, writers.
Yeah. He and Lucas do have a goodbye scene though, and they wish each other good luck. Drew continues to blackmail Portia, and he visits her in her office, and he tells her that she's going to get Curtis to endorse Ezra and back their plan against Sonny, and the bad press against him has to stop. And Portia's like, how am I supposed to do that? I can't convince Curtis to do that. Like, it's impossible.
This has been stupid from the beginning. She has no control over Curtis. He does what he does.
Right. And she's never going to convince Curtis to go against Sonny. So, because that's not what Laura wants. So,
yeah, he's not really on Sonny's side. He's supporting Laura, who's his friend.
Right.
A lot of people had to choose sides in this scenario who wouldn't normally choose Sonny at all, because Curtis is a stand-up guy. He doesn't usually side with the mob at all. Except for Selena when he had that deal at the Savoy.
Okay. So what did you think about the scene between Willow and Isaiah? What were your thoughts?
Willow and Isaiah, what scene?
There was a scene at the end.
I didn't see it. I haven't gotten to the end yet, guys.
Oh, I thought you did. I'm sorry. Okay,
so tell me about it, and I'll tell you what I think.
Okay, so Willow confides in him about she like asks him if he's an idiot for trusting Drew, and Isaiah's like, no, I'm not gonna say that. I wasn't gonna say that. But Willow's confiding in him, and she's worried about losing her kids because of Drew. So, and I felt like it was a chemistry test between the two of them.
I
And
thought
it's
there were
really
two
weird.
chemistry tests today. There was one between Isaiah and Liz, and there was apparently one between Willow and Isaiah.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know.
What
I
did you
didn't really
think of
get
their
the.
chemistry?
Yeah, I didn't get a chemistry test vibe between Liz and Isaiah. It was more like a, she was telling her that he lost a woman that he liked and that he was really interested in, and Liz kind of like offered him some advice. But I didn't really. Maybe it was a chemistry test, but I don't know.
I feel like they need to move him into some other storylines for a while if they're not going to put him with Jordan because of this whole Sidwell storyline. But I don't know. I kind of felt like it was a chemistry test between them to see how they get along.
Yeah.
Because Lucky's going to screw this up because Lucky is hiding secrets for Christina. And one of those secrets is that Christina almost killed Elizabeth.
Yeah, and she's going to definitely give Lucky the heave-ho when she finds that out.
Which stinks because I've really been enjoying their reunion. And I hate that Lucky would throw away his relationship for Christina, who's proven time and time again that she's nuts and should have went to Ferncliff by now.
Yes. But I don't think you missed much because that's all I have. So
right, I'm like, where am I? I'm at I got 6 minutes left. It's sometimes we have to work. That's what happens.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, I mean, that's about it. So we have a surprise for you all. We are going to be watching Friday's episode together on Patreon. We're going to do a live watch, so please join us for that. We will also pick our performers of the week, and we will pick the clip of the week live because we haven't seen Friday's episode. So we will.
It's not going to be Dominic this week. I'm so annoyed with Dante.
No, it's not. I think I know who mine is already, but
it's Jane Elliott again.
All right, so we will wrap this edition. Please look out for us on Patreon and join us for an episode of GH. We're going to watch Friday's episode, so we will see you then. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.